Imagine being a person that doesn't flinch when insulted, doesn't explain when misunderstood, doesn't react when provoked, just silent, still powerful. That's not weakness. That's dominance. I didn't need to shout to be heard. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. My silence was my strength. When people tried to get under my skin, I gave them nothing. Because the moment you react, you give them power. And I never gave my power away. I learned that real mastery begins when you no longer need to respond. You observe, you adapt, and you strike only when necessary. That is the mindset of the most dangerous man, the one who says nothing. If you want to be feared without force, respected without noise, and unstoppable in silence, watch carefully. When someone tries to insult a powerful man, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't jump to defend his ego. He just watches. He stays still like a mountain. Because he knows something most people don't. Reaction is weakness. Observation is strength. You see, the moment you react, you've given the other person control over your emotions. You've allowed them to press your buttons and dictate your energy. But the man who observes instead of reacts, he takes that power away. He studies the situation. He reads the person. He listens not just to what is said, but to what is hidden beneath the words. And that's silence. It becomes his greatest weapon. People get uncomfortable when they can't provoke you. They try to bait you with insults, criticism, or false accusations. But when you remain calm, when you simply look them in the eyes without a word, it unsettles them. Why? Because silence is power. Silence means they didn't get inside your head. Silence means you're still in control. He doesn't just brush off insults. He uses them as insight. He understands that emotional intelligence isn't about ignoring conflict. It's about not letting that conflict control you. He doesn't need to win arguments. He's already won by refusing to step into the mud. That's the mark of a dangerous man, not because he's violent, but because he's disciplined. You can't manipulate a man who doesn't need your approval, your validation, or your acceptance. He remains calm in chaos, and that calmness, it commands respect. It makes people think twice before they cross him again. So remember this, a wise man once said, when you're in a room full of noise, the quietest person is often the most powerful. Be that man. Observe more, react less. That's how you rise above the noise. True strength isn't measured by how loud you shout or how quickly you respond. It's measured by how well you can stay calm when your pride is challenged, when someone pushes your limits, when disrespect tries to shake you. The most dangerous man is not the one who unleashes his anger at every slight. It's the man who controls it so well, you'd never even know he was bothered. He feels anger, yes, but he doesn't serve it. He studies it. He channels it. Just like a warrior does not swing his sword wildly at every shadow, this man does not let his emotions guide his hands, his words, or his choices. He knows that anger is a powerful force, but one that must be mastered, not obeyed. Uncontrolled emotion is like a fire without boundaries. It burns everything, but when contained, that fire can forge steel. When someone disrespects him, he doesn't lash out. He doesn't lose composure. He breathes, he waits, he watches, because he knows this truth. The one who loses his temper first loses control. And in the game of life, control is everything. Why does he stay composed? Because he doesn't let other people write his emotional story. He doesn't hand over the pen just because someone insulted him or tried to provoke a reaction. He keeps his hand firm, steady, writing his story with clarity and intention. That's power. That's emotional discipline. Weak men seek to dominate others. Strong men master themselves. He's not cold. He's not emotionless. He's simply aware that feelings are visitors. They come and go. He lets them pass without letting them dictate his response. And this makes him unpredictable, unshakable, untouchable. When others expect rage and receive calm, they're disarmed. When they expect retaliation and receive silence, they're humbled. Most people confuse reaction with strength. But real power lies in restraint, in walking away when your pride wants to stay and fight, in choosing your peace over pointless arguments, in saying, I could destroy you, but I won't. I'm not controlled by you. So the next time your blood boils and your ego screams to fight back, pause. Ask yourself, what's stronger, to strike blindly or to stay still like a warrior in perfect form? The dangerous man always chooses the second because he knows emotion is a sword and only the disciplined know how to wield it without cutting themselves. The most dangerous man doesn't waste his breath on empty talk. He's not interested in impressing people with loud opinions or constant chatter. He doesn't speak to be heard. He speaks to be understood, and only when it's truly necessary. In a world addicted to noise where everyone is desperate to say something just to feel important, the man of true power chooses a different path: silence, observation, and intentional speech. He knows that words are not cheap. Every word you speak is energy spent, and he spends his energy with precision, like a surgeon with a blade, not a fool with a hammer. He speaks only when his words are stronger than his silence. That means he doesn't interrupt others to prove a point. He doesn't speak just to defend his ego. He waits, he listens, he gathers, and when he finally opens his mouth, every sentence lands with impact. His words are like arrows, calm, sharp, and aimed with purpose. People lean in when he talks, not because he demands their attention, but because he's earned it. When someone speaks rarely, every word becomes valuable. His silence builds anticipation. His voice carries weight, not because it's loud, but because it comes from deep understanding and discipline. Think about it. Who do you trust more? The person who constantly talks, or the one who speaks rarely, but with clarity and conviction? This man knows that real communication isn't about how much you say, it's about the energy behind it. And the truth is, silence often says more than words ever could. Silence makes people reflect. It creates space. It forces others to sit with what they said, to reveal themselves, to show their true character.
When you stay silent during conflict, you reveal who's really in control. When you speak only when it counts, your words carry the force of presence and purpose. You become someone whose voice isn't background noise, it's a turning point.
So he doesn't blurt things out when emotions rise. He doesn't argue for the sake of ego. He's not interested in being right in the moment. He's focused on being powerful in the long run. He understands timing. He understands energy. And most of all, he understands that speech is not for validation. It's for truth. And that's why people fear him. Because when he finally speaks, it's already too late to argue. His silence has already won the room. His presence has already done the work. And his words, they're not just heard, they're remembered. So remember, talk less, mean more. Let your silence build value and your words deliver truth. That's the language of a truly dangerous man. A truly dangerous man doesn't brag. He doesn't announce every move he's about to make. He doesn't go around telling everyone what he plans to do, what he's working on, or how great he's going to become. Why? Because he understands something most people don't. People don't respect promises. They respect proof. Anyone can talk. Anyone can say, I'm going to start this, I'm going to build that, or just wait till they see me win. But real men know the louder you talk, the more attention you draw, and the more pressure you put on yourself to deliver. The most dangerous man is quiet. While others are busy posting, announcing, and seeking validation, he is in the dark, working, grinding, training, improving. He's not building a brand, he's building a legacy. His work doesn't need an audience to begin. He creates without applause. He trains without compliments. He sharpens his mind and body in silence so that when he shows up, the world can't deny him. He knows that results are undeniable. You can argue with someone's words. You can doubt their dreams, but you cannot ignore what they've done. He is the man who disappears for a season and returns unrecognizable. He's the one who walks into the room and suddenly everyone notices something's different, not because he told them, but because they feel it. His presence speaks, his confidence speaks, his growth speaks. And that's what makes him so powerful. He never had to prove anything, but everything about him is proof. This is why he doesn't beg for opportunities. He becomes so good, they come to him. He doesn't chase attention. He becomes so focused and disciplined that attention becomes a side effect of his consistency. He's not focused on being seen. He's focused on becoming. And here's the key. Because he doesn't announce his moves, nobody can interfere with them. There's no outside pressure, no judgment, no comparison, just him, his craft, and the quiet rhythm of self-mastery. Every day he shows up, not to impress others, but to surpass the man he was yesterday. And when his moment comes, when the curtain finally lifts and the world sees what he's built, they won't believe how silently it all happened. That's the art of the quiet warrior. He strikes only once, but that one strike is enough to leave an echo that never fades. So, if you want to be dangerous, stop announcing your greatness. Stop giving people a preview of your journey. Let them underestimate you. Let them sleep on you. And then one day, show up so strong, so sharp, and so undeniable, they'll wonder how they missed it. Let your silence be the soil where greatness grows, and let your results speak so loud you never have to. A truly dangerous man doesn't waste his energy on meaningless arguments. He doesn't get pulled into petty debates or feel the need to prove his worth to people who don't matter. He doesn't try to convince the world of who he is, because he already knows. And a man who knows himself deeply, his values, his purpose, his mission, has nothing to prove to anyone. When people try to provoke him, he stays still. When they try to bait him with disrespect, he stays silent. When they shout to get a reaction, he simply walks away. Not because he's weak, but because he's powerful enough to walk in the opposite direction of chaos. You see, arguing is often just noise, a battle of egos, not truth. In most arguments, people aren't listening to understand. They're listening to reply. They're trying to win. But the dangerous man, he doesn't need to win the argument, because he's already won in life. His proof is in his peace. His power is in his presence. A man who walks away isn't running from the fight. He's choosing the higher battlefield, one where he protects his mind, his energy, and his mission. He understands that every argument you enter takes something from you: time, focus, emotional clarity. And when you fight meaningless battles, you lose strength for the real ones. He doesn't waste words with fools. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "I guarantee a house in the middle of paradise for the one who avoids arguing, even if he is right." The dangerous man lives by this wisdom, because he knows that arguing with the wrong people is like trying to plant seeds in concrete. Nothing will grow, nothing will change. So he conserves his energy like a warrior saves arrows. He doesn't shoot them at shadows. He waits for the right moment, the right cause, the right battlefield. And when he speaks or acts, it's with precision and power. But don't mistake his silence for weakness. The dangerous man is not passive, he's patient. He chooses his battles, and when he does fight, he fights with purpose, not to destroy, but to defend, not to dominate, but to protect what matters. And more importantly, he walks away because he refuses to be dragged into someone else's storm. He has trained too long to build his peace. He has fought too hard to calm the war within. He's not going to let a few reckless words break the temple he's built in his mind. He knows this truth. The person who can't walk away from disrespect is still a slave to it. But the man who walks away, he's already free. His silence is not submission, it's supremacy. His walk away is not retreat, it's redirection. And his refusal to argue, that's not avoidance, it's mastery. So when they scream, let them. When they lie, let them. When they twist your words or question your worth, let them. You don't need to fix their view of you. That's not your job. Your job is to stay aligned with your mission. Your job is to guard your peace like a crown. Your job is to rise so high that no argument can reach you, because real men, dangerous men, don't explain themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. They walk forward, they walk silently, and they walk alone if they have to, because the path to mastery isn't loud, it's silent, disciplined, and full of decisions to walk away from what no longer deserves your voice. And that is power. The most dangerous man is not the one who holds grudges, but the one who learns lessons. He may forgive you, but he never forgets what you taught him through your actions. Understand this. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's not saying what you did was okay. Forgiveness is choosing to free yourself from the emotional chains someone else tried to wrap around you. It's reclaiming control over your energy and attention. It's saying, I refuse to let you live rent-free in my mind. But just because he forgives doesn't mean he forgets. The dangerous man pays attention to behavior, not words, not apologies, not promises, behavior. Because he knows that people may change their story, but rarely do they change their patterns. And when someone shows you who they are, he believes them. When he's hurt, disrespected, betrayed, he doesn't explode. He doesn't seek revenge. He studies the moment. He watches the lesson unfold. Then he steps back and elevates. You see, forgiveness is about protecting your peace. But remembering the lesson, that's about protecting your future. A man who forgets what wounded him gets wounded again. But the man who remembers without hatred, he becomes untouchable. He knows where to place people. He knows how much access to give them. He knows what energy deserves to be near him and what energy must be left behind. He may smile at you, but that doesn't mean you're close again. He may shake your hand, but that doesn't mean you're trusted again. He may stand in the same room, but you'll never stand in his heart the same way. Because he knows something powerful. Boundaries are not walls, they're gates. And gates only open to those who earn access through consistency and truth. Now some will call him cold, some will say he's changed, and they'll be right. He has changed, he's grown, he's evolved, because pain was his teacher and experience was his classroom. He no longer lets emotions cloud his judgment. He no longer assumes the best in people who've already shown him their worst. He walks with caution, but not fear. He loves deeply, but with discernment. And most of all, he doesn't let old wounds poison his vision, but he does let them shape his wisdom. The dangerous man understands that life is not about living with a shield up at all times, but it is about knowing when to put that shield between you and a threat dressed as a friend. He forgives because he knows anger is a prison. It rots the soul from the inside. It ties you to the moment of betrayal and keeps you reliving it over and over. Forgiveness cuts that cord. It frees you to move, to build, to breathe again. But forgiveness is not reconnection. It is not access granted. It is peace secured. And the most dangerous man does not give anyone the power to disrupt that peace twice. He doesn't take revenge. He lets karma do that. He doesn't attack you back. He outgrows you. He doesn't curse your name. He removes it from his story. Because his mission is too big, his path is too sacred, and his time is too valuable to be spent on emotional replays. He walks away, not to run, but to rise. And that rise is built on the quiet strength of a man who forgives without forgetting, loves without losing himself, and trusts with his eyes open. So remember, forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. But never forget, because you deserve better next time. And a dangerous man, he always remembers the lesson and never fails the same test twice. There's a kind of man who walks into a room and changes the temperature without saying a word. Not because he's loud, not because he's flashy, but because he's centered, grounded, silent, and powerful. He is unshakable, not because life doesn't throw storms at him, but because he has learned how to be the stillness in the middle of chaos. And how did he get that way? Because he made a decision. to master himself before he tried to master anything else in life. The most dangerous man is not the one who knows how to fight others, but the one who knows how to fight himself. He battles the urges, the distractions, the laziness, the ego, the emotional reactivity. He chooses discipline over desire, purpose over pleasure, vision over validation. And that internal mastery, it makes him untouchable. When someone tries to insult him, he doesn't flinch because their words don't have roots inside his mind. He has trained himself to be free of others' opinions. When failure comes, and it will, he doesn't collapse. Because he knows failure isn't death, it's data, it's a signpost, it's fuel. He doesn't let emotions define him, he lets principles guide him. This man has built a fortress within. While others are busy building a lifestyle, a following, or a reputation, he's building internal control. While others seek to impress, he seeks to improve. While others chase applause, he chases clarity. And that clarity, that's what makes him dangerous. Because once you know who you are, really know, you become immune to manipulation. You stop playing roles to please people. You stop chasing things that don't serve your soul. You no longer react, you respond. With purpose, with intention, with calm. And calm is terrifying to the chaotic. He moves with rhythm, not rush. He acts with strategy, not impulse. He stands rooted in storms that would break most men because his roots were planted deep through years of self-reflection, solitude, and sacrifice. He doesn't need to prove himself. He becomes proof. He doesn't need to shout. His silence is loud enough. He doesn't need to chase anything because everything meant for him is drawn to his energy. And here's the secret. Mastery is not a destination. It's a daily decision. Every morning, the dangerous man chooses to win the battle within before he steps into the world. He disciplines his thoughts. He sharpens his focus. He trains his body. He nourishes his soul. He protects his energy like it's sacred, because it is. He knows if he can't command himself, he'll be a slave to the world. But since he commands himself, nothing outside of him can break him. So when life hits hard, he's still standing. When people betray him, he's still moving. When the world gets loud, he's still silent. Because his peace is not a performance, it's a product of mastery. This is the man you don't see coming, the one who trains in silence, works in shadows, and arrives with impact. He doesn't talk about being unshakable, he simply is. And that kind of man, that's the one the world remembers. So ask yourself daily, am I mastering the world? Or am I mastering myself? Only one of those paths leads to power that no one can take from you. And that's the path the most dangerous man walks, in silence. The most dangerous man isn't fighting every day. He's not constantly on edge, constantly offended, constantly trying to prove something, because he knows something that weak men never learn. Not every battle is worth his time, his energy, or his presence. In a world that rewards reaction, where people think strength is about always clapping back, always defending your name, always getting the last word, this man moves differently. He doesn't jump into conflict just to be seen as bold. He doesn't raise his voice just to be heard. He doesn't respond to every insult, every slight, every misunderstanding, because he values peace over pride, focus over friction, elevation over ego. He understands that life is war, but not every hill is worth dying on. He has mastered the art of selective engagement. Because when you're constantly triggered, constantly offended, constantly responding, you become predictable, and predictable men are easy to control. But when you're calm, strategic, deliberate, you become a storm that nobody sees coming. He knows that energy is currency, and he spends it wisely. He asks himself, what does this cost me? Is this helping me grow, or pulling me back into patterns I've already outgrown? Is this aligned with my mission, or just a trap for my ego? And most of the time, the answer is clear. So he walks away, not out of fear, but out of clarity. He's not afraid of battle. He's trained for it. But he's smart enough to know that fighting for the sake of pride is just noise. And noise is a distraction. And distraction is death to a man with purpose. Instead of reacting, he reflects. Instead of attacking, he observes. Instead of chasing petty victories, he focuses on lasting impact. He knows that silence is louder than shouting, that distance is louder than arguing, that self-control is louder than rage. And the truth is, his restraint makes others nervous, because when they can't get a rise out of him, when they can't drag him into their chaos, when they can't make him dance to their drama, they lose control. You can't trap a man who refuses to play the game. That's why he's dangerous. He doesn't lose himself in noise. He drowns it out with focus. He doesn't fight to be right. He walks in alignment with what's right for him. And when he chooses to fight, when he finally steps into the arena, people notice. Because it means something important is at stake. His battles are rare, but when he shows up, he finishes it. With precision, with finality, with the silent force of a man who doesn't fight often, but always fights to win. So ask yourself, are you reacting to everything? Or are you reserving your power for what truly matters? The most dangerous man doesn't fight to feed his ego, he fights to protect his mission, and everything else, he leaves in silence. You want to know who the most dangerous man in the room is? It's not the one shouting, it's not the one pounding his chest. It's the one sitting still, saying nothing, but seeing everything. I didn't waste my breath proving myself to others. I didn't fight every fool that tried to test me. I didn't rise to every insult, every provocation. You know why? Because a man who knows who he is does not need to be loud about it. I mastered myself, my emotions, my reactions, my energy. I trained in silence. I studied in solitude. And when I showed up, I didn't need to say much. My presence spoke for me. Most people, they scream to be heard. They argue to win approval. They chase fights to prove they're strong. But true strength, it's in the man who doesn't react. It's in the man who doesn't need to respond to everything. It's in the man who knows when to walk away and when to strike. You think power is about showing force. But I tell you this, real power is restraint. Real power is being able to destroy, but choosing not to. Real power is silence that makes the world lean in to hear what you haven't said. I forgave those who wronged me, not for them, for me, but I remembered. I carried every lesson like a weapon forged in fire, and I walked forward with clarity, never looking back. Don't be the man who fights every battle. Be the man who chooses which ones are worth the war. Don't be the man who talks about his plans. Be the man whose silence makes people wonder what he's building. Don't be the man who reacts to every insult. Be the one they can't provoke, because your peace is protected like gold. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. So I leave you with this. Don't say everything you know. Don't react to everything you feel. Don't fight every time your ego gets scratched. Be still, be focused, be silent. And when the time is right, move like thunder, because the man who says nothing builds everything. Be like water, quiet, calm, and capable of destruction. And remember, I didn't become powerful by being loud. I became powerful by being in control.